Seahawks. Cardinals won 26-24. Looked like Phil Dawson was the man of the hour in that game. Kicked a field goal in each of the 4 quarters to power on past the Seahawks. Arizona's still sitting at 8-8. Seahawks are 9-7. What's the playoff ramifications there? Were there any?
If Seahawks won this game, I think they would have been
in the playoffs.
I think so. I think they might have needed some help, but I think if they at least won this game, they would have had a shot.
They would have been in position.
Yeah. The thing was, even though they beat the Cowboys last week to keep their playoff hope alive,
right?
They had to win this game to keep their playoff hopes alive.
And they might have needed some help from.
They might have needed some help too, but they had to win this game, and they couldn't. And this was actually Bruce Arians' last game as a Cardinals head coach.
Interesting.
So that's a good way to finish off his career. And this was commentated by
Wilson, 18 for 29, 221 yards passing. Sacked 3 times. That kind of stinks. Cardinals, Larry Fitzgerald was by far the leading receiver, but only had 55 yards. So it was kind of both teams were struggling offensively. Thank God for Phil Dawson coming through for the Cardinals and putting, I guess, single-handedly putting up 12 of 26 points onto that board. Any highlights otherwise? Anything that you took from the game? Obviously, neither of these teams are heading into the postseason, but any bright spots for next year? You had already mentioned the Cardinals are losing Bruce Arians. He's leaving. So that obviously is a big shakeup at the top. But down below, was there anything like Fitzgerald? I mean, how many more seasons is he going to go?
He actually just completed his 14th season in the NFL. So we don't know how long he's going to, play in the NFL. So the Cardinals now have to start preparing for the future. Obviously, Carson Palmer is considering retirement this year.
Okay.
He's been out for the season almost this whole year. I think he's playing the first 4 or 5 games.
Yeah, Drew Stanton was taking all the snaps now.
And then he got injured. I think it was after the Philly game or the Buccaneers game.
Okay.
So he's been out for a little bit. So they have a lot to work, and they have a lot of aging players on their team. They have a lot of guys who are getting older, so they have to start preparing for the future. And I don't know who they're going to have as head coach. Like, I think I have some good ideas of who they could possibly hire. I really like that one guy from the Eagles offensive coordinator, Frank Reich.
Okay.
I think he would be a good job. He's really good with working with quarterbacks. Obviously, what he was able to do with Nick Foles these last couple of weeks, I think that he should be a candidate for a head coaching job. You got some other ones too, which is I really liked Nathaniel Hackett from the Jaguars because the Jaguars were looking good this year. They he helped like Bortles.
Okay.
Look better. He looked a better quarterback this year, and his footwork was a lot better. And I think that a lot of people were crediting Nathaniel Hackett.
What's Hackett's background?
He's offensive coordinator.
Was he like a QB coach at any time?
I believe
I'm
so.
just curious.
Yeah.
It's
I
like
believe
in those
so.
situations, I feel like usually when you got a guy that's familiar with that position, he can really level up a quarterback's game.
I also like his the Patriots coordinator, what's his name, Matt Patricia.
Okay.
He's probably gonna be one of the candidates for a head coaching job. And if they're looking for he's a defensive guy. And then if they want an offensive guy, I really like that Josh McDaniels. I know he's had didn't look good with the Broncos. He ended up getting fired, but I think that if you give him another chance, he might be able to improve this Cardinals offense because they have a rebuilding run. They had a offensive line that was constantly rotating this year due to injuries. Like guys were rotating, so I think that he might be able to fix some of their problems.
He's a young guy.
He's a young guy too, and
early 30s.
I think so, like maybe like 35, something like that.
Okay.
Obviously, they're going to be looking for a quarterback probably in the draft since Carson Palmer might be considering retirement. And
anybody that they got their eyes set on, or
they don't really have anyone, I don't think, just yet. I think that the Senior Bowl coming up, I think they'll start to look at it because that's where the scouts go to and everything like that. I really have some good options I could think of, like Josh Allen from Wyoming. He's not expected to be a high draft pick, but they could probably get him in the first or maybe late first round or second round. You got Lamar Jackson from Louisville. he's more of a scrambling quarterback, but
Right.
I think that, Larry Fitzgerald could do well with a young quarterback. I think that will build up their confidence because you got pieces on that team. You got Larry Fitzgerald.
We'll build up the quarterback's confidence.
Yeah, we'll build up the
agreed.
quarterbacks.
Yeah, I mean,
quarterbacks
if you give them a consistent target like Fitzgerald has proven to be over the years, absolutely, and will really bring that guy in, kind of teach him the ways, and it'll kind of up his learning curve as he adjusts to the new offensive scheme in the NFL and the NFL game in general.
Absolutely. I think that the Cardinals need to look at quarterbacks, and there's definitely plenty of options out there too. And obviously, if they want to get a receiver, obviously to someone else to go with Larry Fitzgerald, because I think there's their one receiver, they call him, it's John Brown, who's expected to hit free agency this year, and we don't know if they're going to bring him back. So, obviously there's a good guy named, good people out there to grab, like Christian Kirk. He's definitely a good receiver out there, and I really like him too. He's fast, he has speed, and he makes big catches and big plays.
Before we head to the next game, there was one name that, as I'm looking at the box scores for the Cardinals on the defensive side of the ball, I don't know much about him. Chandler Jones.
Yeah, he's actually the sack leader.
Yeah, five solo tackles and 2 sacks this game. That's somebody that's been consistent all year for them.
Yeah, he leads the league in sacks.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, so he's been very consistent.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. So this game was no different. He just kept doing what he's been doing the whole season.
Yeah, I even think that if DeMarcus Lawrence gets his no, actually I think if Chandler Jones had no sacks and he had a sack,
okay,
I think he would have taken the lead, but obviously Chandler Jones would have taken that right back. But it's obviously would look nice for a couple hours to lead the league in sacks. But yeah, Chandler Jones has been very consistent for the team, and I think that he is a good playmaker on that defense, because obviously the defensive backs kind of looked a little off this year. They were giving up big plays in the secondary, but obviously when you have a good pass rush, it makes the quarterback throw risky passes and close to interception. So I think that defensive line on the Cardinals is really impressive, and they're young too.
Speaking of risky passes, that brings